Hey everybody, NFT fans and Web3 fans. My name is Eugene Creepy MC. I'm the media host of Envelop, and this is another episode of the DAO Envelop podcast. We've been exploring the Web3 space, how NFT are used there, DAO, how DAO works, and so on and so forth. And let me introduce with you my two distinguished guests today. If you are an alcoholic, you would especially love today's episode because I'm having now Samuel Falic. He's co-founder and president, and Max Album. He's the director of sales and growth of the BlocBar, and the BlocBar is direct-to-consumer NFT platform for wine and spirits, for luxury branded alcohol. So, guys, welcome to our show. It's great to have you on our podcast.
Thank you so much for having us, Eugene.
So, I prefer to start with the story. I know that all of us are very familiar with alcohol, and I especially love to talk about the project which aim to connect the real world of real things with Web3 world via NFT, like tokenizing something, tokenizing real estate and so on and so forth, and tokenizing alcohol is quite an interesting idea. So how did you get into the blockchain space, guys? How did you get your first exposure with Web3 realm? Let's start with you, Samuel.
Yeah, I come from a duty-free background. So I used to work at Duty Free Americas, which is a duty-free company in the United States. And then I got turned on to the blockchain space and the crypto space, like everyone during the pandemic, was learning a lot about the industry. Felt like it was still very, very, very early. It's still early, but at the time I thought it was even earlier. And I drew a lot of inspiration off of NBA Top Shot, Uniswap, a lot of different companies, great companies that were like that. So I was looking at the space and I was trying to think exactly how blockchain and crypto could be utilized in utilizing the infrastructure that I had already known. And I wanted to find a way to use NFTs, not just for art, although in the art world it's great. I wanted to find a way to utilize it to solve an actual problem in an industry that I knew well. And then as we started examining different industries that we were exposed to through the duty-free industry, whether it was fashion, fragrance, we really felt that the perfect use case was specifically with spirits. And why I say that is because there's a lot of issues in the spirits industry, as amazing as it is. And we could kind of dive into those a little bit later, but many of the issues revolve around access, storage, and authenticity. And we felt that there was an opportunity to utilize blockchain technology and utilize NFTs to solve all of those problems in that industry. So yeah, that's kind of how it got started.
Yeah, well, sorry. And Max, tell us your story. How did you get into the blockchain space?
Yeah, so when Samuel told me about the idea, it was really something that felt practical to me. And again, kind of how he explained, solve the problem. Big fan of the NFT space from the art scene, and really loved how this has kind of been a renaissance for art, with people who I've never spoken with art about really jumping into the scene. But when Samuel explained to me how the NFTs actually solve this issue of authenticity and ownership, it was a project that I was passionate to be around. As someone who comes from more of a traditional background, I was also excited to work with these brands and onboard them into the world of Web3.
First of all, thank you guys personally from my side for now developing the area of digital art NFT, because we are all full of that. We need to find different use cases and other use cases for utilizing NFT. So tell me, please, how did you get with the idea of BlocBar and what is BlocBar, how it works? Let's start with this.
Yeah. So again, as I was saying, when we were looking at the NFT space, we were trying to find a specific use case for it that we felt was solving an actual problem in an industry. And then even more so, as amazing as the crypto space is, we felt that there were still certain barriers for entry. Like Max was saying, it's still very speculative for a lot of people who just hear about the technology, and it's very difficult to get onboarded. So initially what we wanted to do was find an approachable way for consumers to get into the Web3 space. We felt that an efficient way to do that would be to sell NFTs directly from luxury brands. And as I said earlier, to also utilize the technology to solve a problem in an actual industry. So we started looking at the spirits industry. We felt that there was a lot of issues around, as I said earlier, access, storage, authenticity, but it extends on more than that, whether it's insurance, portability, ability to resell, the risk of counterfeit. There's a ton of different issues that we could dive into, but we felt that, the spirits industry could benefit from it. So that's kind of where BlockBar was born. And what BlockBar is we're an NFT marketplace where each NFT comes directly from a luxury spirits or wine brand. Each NFT corresponds to an actual physical bottle. We store that bottle for consumers for free in Singapore, and then we issue them an NFT. So in simple terms, the consumer owns the product, we store it for them, and then we issue them a digital version, which acts as proof of authenticity, verification of ownership, and the right to have the corresponding asset delivered. So really, when you think about it, spirits is very difficult to ship from point A to point B with regulations, and then also you run the risk of something going wrong along the way where the liquid goes bad or the glass breaks. So what we're really creating is the ability for consumers across the entire world to exchange ownership without the physical product ever really leaving the facility.
Well, the idea is quite simple. I would say is super simple and totally understandable for anybody. If you have
that's great to hear. That's great to hear.
Such a unique thing in a physical world, so you may create an NFT which represents this unique thing. But Max, please explain for us, for all who is familiar with drinking alcohol, why to buy an NFT which represents even the luxury brand of alcohol, but luxury bottle of luxury brand, instead of directly buying this bottle of this alcohol directly.
Yeah, totally. And again, I really love BlockBar because we are kind of opening this asset class to people who typically haven't had access to it in the past. Most of these bottles, you walk into Sotheby's to have to go get them from an auction house, go through a trader, private channels, things that I know myself personally can't just walk into Sotheby's and join an auction. So we're really democratizing these asset class, so it gives access to something, again, that you weren't able to get before. So that's where we kind of come in. We bring this broader community into the world of wine and spirits. And on top of that, it's authenticity. Even more so, my lack of experience at Sotheby's, I have no clue how to get a fine wine and spirit authenticated. So what BlockBar does is it uses the NFT to ensure that the product that you're getting isn't counterfeit. I have the luxury of working and speaking with a lot of owners, understanding, how they found BlockBar, what brought them to BlockBar, and the overarching answer that I've gotten from the owners is about authenticity, whether it was an experience in the past of owning a bottle that ended up being fake, which was a $10,000 purchase on their end, or even storage. Someone comes into your house, takes a sip of it, not realizing that it's an investment, or knocks it over. It just kind of takes the risk out of investing and brings a new opportunity for people to join this investment market.
So am I understanding correctly that the main purpose is not to have a real bottle somewhere in the future, but to invest in the bottle and to have a sort of digital certificate which says about authenticity, prevents from counterfeiting this specific bottle, and give us 100% sure that real bottle is stored somewhere in sort of safe in Singapore, you said, right? So this looks like a sort of investment first purpose, right?
No, well, it's a little bit of both, and really it's kind of the intersection of these three different types of offerings. So number one, like Max is saying, there's the investment aspect. Number two is just the collection aspect. People love to collect, and this is an easy way to collect premium spirits without having to have the burden of it shipped to your house and then you store it. And then number three, we really do feel that all amazing spirits and all amazing wines ultimately are meant to be consumed. But when you consume it, you want to be sure that you're drinking the real thing and it was stored at the proper temperature. So a great example is, let's say, Eugene, that you buy, your nephew a bottle of wine that you plan on drinking when he graduates from college. So you bought it for him when he was born. You want to drink it in 22 years. It's a special memento for you and for him. When he comes to that actual age and you do try to drink it, the odds that you stored it properly in the proper temperature, you probably moved in that time, the odds that it was shipped properly are very, very low. And ultimately, when you do want to drink these amazing bottles, because each one of these bottles really is an art piece, and it's blended by these amazing winemakers or these master distillers, and each one is completely unique, and each vintage can't be recreated. So when you ultimately do consume it, I would imagine that you want to have the full potential of that bottle, or the full potential of that whole spirit. So that's really what we do. We prove authenticity up until the point of consumption. so that ultimately when a consumer is consuming it, they know that it was stored properly by professionals and there's no chance that it was counterfeit or because it came directly from the brands.
Yeah, totally understood. 100% clear. From the first point of view, for everybody who's listening to us, this idea involves luxury brand producers. So tell us, please, when I first went to luxury brand producer and tell about this idea, what was their reaction? How did they enjoy or not enjoy this idea? Were they looking on this like a sort of marketing, another good marketing tool for sell the alcohol, or what was their perception of your offering?
So initially, when we first went to the brands, they were a little bit skeptical, just again, because we were pretty early on in the industry. And the brands actually wanted to stay away from it being viewed as just a marketing campaign because, they didn't want to dive into an entirely new industry and be on the forefront of innovation if it came with a lot of inherent risks. So what they felt was that, and this is coming from the brands and from our perspective too, a lot of companies that were getting into the world of Web3, I'm very happy that they did, and they really did set the road. But many companies get into it just for a marketing campaign or just as to get the catchy headline or to attract a new class of demographic. What these brands really felt is that we are providing an actual solution for a lot of people in the industry. And that's why they were really excited about it. Now, again, it took a very long time to get them on board. It took them a very long time for them to understand the risks and then comprehend it and decide to move forward. It wasn't like they heard the idea and they jumped on, because these brands are extremely careful. And primarily spirits and wine brands, they've been doing the same thing for hundreds of years. They don't really have to innovate that much because their products are so amazing and so difficult to recreate. So one of the things that attracted them was specifically that, yes, they're going to get the catchy headline. This is going to be a great marketing campaign, but it is a lot more than that. It really is solving a huge issue in the industry, and it's solving a huge problem for their consumers and allowing more people to enter the world. Right now, when you think of someone who collects premium spirits, it's probably someone who's an older demographic and a higher net worth individual. That asset class isn't really available to the masses, and that asset class isn't available to everyone throughout the entire world. There could be someone sitting in a certain geographic location who would be interested in collecting premium spirits, but they just don't have the access, or they don't have, they can't contact the brand directly, or they're not in a region where they can get it shipped. So the brands are very excited that, like I said, this solves a huge issue with authenticity and counterfeit, and it removes or lowers the barrier for a lot more people all across the world to start getting into this space.
Well, how many luxury brand producers have you already acquired as a partners in your portfolio?
So right now, the brands that we work with are Dictador, Glenfiddich, Hennessy, Buffalo Trace, Patron, Penfolds, Royal Salute, Vidalmore. Max, did I miss anyone?
No, I think that's all.
That's great.
Yeah, and a lot of these brands are owned by larger corporations. So when you look at the larger umbrella portfolios, we're working with White & McKay, we're working with Moet Hennessy, we're working with William Grant & Sons, we're working with Pernod Ricard, we're working with TWE, Treasury Wine Estates, Sazerac. Those are kind of the bigger umbrella portfolios, and usually those bigger companies own a bunch of different spirits brands.
Well, do you have any geographical limitations? I don't exactly know where these brands are established in US or abroad. Perhaps your idea may not have any limitations. Any brand producer from any country or even may use your solution. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, right now we work with brands from the United States, Europe, Latin America, Australia. We're open to talking to any brand from any geographic location. Now, again, we're open to any consumer across the entire world to buying the product as long as they're of age, of course. But of course, there are also geographic restrictions on where we can actually ship the product. So unfortunately, we're not able to guarantee redemption to anywhere in the entire world because there's certain regions because of regulatory compliance that we just can't ship to. So for those consumers, what we do offer is the ability to pick up the product in person in Singapore, to ship it to a different address, or to pick it up from any of the Duty Free Americas locations in North and South America and Macau.
Well, thank you for mentioning redemption, because the redemption is included theoretically in this idea. How many NFT owners have already redeemed their physical bottles, or they do not, I would say, need it because it's served into safety?
Yeah, it's actually great that you're asking that question today. So a lot of our products aren't available to redeem until a future date. So for example, we did a product with pen folds where the product isn't going to be ready for another year. So you can own the NFT, and then in a year when it becomes available to redeem, then you can have it redeemed. A lot of the products that we have are actually available to redeem starting today on April 1st. So it's pretty exciting. We've gotten a few requests from people who are interested in redeeming. No one has fully redeemed the products yet, but if you ask us that question in a week or two, we may have a different answer for you.
Well, how many NFTs have you already minted, and have they already become a sort of specific good itself? And the market of this NFT minted, is it established? Are this NFT on the market being sold without any redemption of any bottles?
Yeah, so right now we've had a total of 912 NFTs issued. And again, each one of these NFTs comes from an exclusive collection from the brands, which is why that there's not a huge number of them. So a lot of times we do one-off bottles, or we do collections of around 200 bottles. It really just depends on the different type of release. But right now we have a total of 912 NFTs that were issued, and our plan is to have a release every 2 weeks.
Excellent. And another marketing question. Theoretically and practically, this idea of issuing NFTs on any unique good is suitable for any specific unique goods producer. Let's change alcohol for, I would say, shoes, furniture, so on, for cars, and so on and so forth. How do you see, is this idea really suitable for any physical good? May NFTs become a sort of marketing channel for physical goods in this world? Maybe somebody is asking you to consult how to use NFTs as a marketing tool to promote goods, not alcohol, but other goods they produce. What would you say?
Yeah, I think that NFTs have been proven to be a pretty good marketing tool. But again, I think that the technology is so much more than that. It has the potential to solve various problems in various different industries. I think that this technology and this business model is really applicable to a ton of different industries. You said shoes, luxury cars, luxury watches, fashion. I think it's 2022 and everybody wants to own cool things, but there's really no need for you to store those things in your house anymore and then worry about authenticity and storage and all of those things. So I think that there is a big opportunity for different industries. One thing that I would recommend is, and this is just my advice, everyone is welcome to go about this a different way. One thing that I would recommend is to try and use NFTs for an actual reason. And again, for us, part of the reason that we do it with spirits is because, and Max was saying this earlier, spirits are very difficult to store yourself. They're very difficult to insure yourself. They're very difficult to resell yourself. They're very difficult to ship across the entire world. So there are a lot of these pain points that do directly get solved using NFT technology. So other markets that want to get into this industry, I would recommend to try to look at the same thing, meaning ask yourself the question, why am I using NFTs? Why do I have to use the technology? Why should I leverage this technology? Why don't I just do an online solution or something like that? So I think that there is definitely a lot of room for different industries to get in. Specifically in the spirits industry, the way that we do it, I think has proven to be effective. I think that one of the major things that we do differently is that we only work directly with luxury brands. So we won't work with any current retailers or any current collectors, because again, once a consumer touches the bottle, it's very difficult to prove authenticity again on the liquid inside. So that's why we work directly with the brands to not deal with that issue. And if we were to work with collectors or retailers, we would be running into the same problem where it's how do we authenticate their bottle? And then if somebody else buys it, how do they know that it's authentic?
Yeah, excellent. I really love your idea. So I would love to ask you a couple general questions about NFT in general. So how do you see the potential of NFT as a Web3 tool in general, possible use cases of NFT in, let's say, upcoming 10 years? Max, I would love you to answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I have the same sentiment that Sam has, really bringing this technology for authenticity and a purpose and problem solving. There's such a vast amount of opportunities within ownership that NFTs can help solve. I think just anything that really needs to be authenticated and really is a hassle to own, NFTs help solves that problem. Sam and Dove, our two co-founders, come from the world of wine and spirits, which is why we're sticking to what we know and are experts in the field on that and being able to use NFTs to solve the biggest problems. But on the side, I've seen a lot of other projects using it for real estate, for watches, even access like member groups. There's such a potential just for ownership with NFTs, of course.
Well, Max, another question for you. As you know, as the director for sales and growth, that the role of the community is quite huge in the success of every Web3 project. First of all, the great first device is to create community first, and then your NFTs. Second, what is the role of the community in the specific success of BlocBar, and how do you manage and grow your community? Any life hacks you may share with us?
Yeah, everything we do is community first. I got to give credit to our community manager, Karma, who, he'll be on the conversation next time. But with every conversation that we have internally about strategy, it's always community first. And my favorite part about the BlockBar community and how I think it really differentiates itself is specifically based on the different owners that we have within BlockBar. You have typically someone who is for years been a wine and spirit investor, and it's their first time purchasing an NFT, or on the other hand, someone who's been doing NFTs for years, very familiar and read up on crypto and Web3, which is their first wine and spirit investment. And what's really awesome about our community is the intersection of both, and how we've seen these two different groups kind of work together to help educate each other and grow this community as we are hedging it being the future of ownership in wine and spirits.
Well, by the way, about technical infrastructure, which blockchains do you use to mint NFTs?
Yeah, so we have it on Ethereum. So it's all compatible with OpenSea, all the other platforms that run on Ethereum.
Yeah. So guys, what are your plans for 2022? Where's BlocBar on its roadmap now? What are your plans? Are you hiring? And if yes, whom do you need?
I think I can kind of jump in from the community and growth standpoint. Like I said, everything we're doing is trying to be community driven first. And part of that is building utility. I think utility is kind of, in my opinion, an overused word in the industry, because at the end of the day, like, people just kind of throw it out there as benefits for owning whatever NFT they're a part of. I think the future of BlockBar right now is figuring out what is a practical utility along with the actual physical product. For me personally, I understand that the actual physical product is the driving utility behind owning the NFT. Is you own a bottle that is worth a certain amount of value and has scarcity to it. But with that said, we have a community that is so driven to be together to kind of drive and make this a bigger community, that I think driving this utility within real life events, partnerships with other different NFT communities that have like-minded mindsets, I think is a really big opportunity for us this year.
Well, how to join BlockBar, how to follow BlockBar, what's the best way to find you?
Yeah, totally. We're on all your typical normal social channels. So we drop all of our information on Twitter, join our Discord, Instagram, Facebook. We also have a newsletter that you could subscribe to on our website, which has a weekly newsletter that has direct information from Sam and Dove, some educational content if you are on, say, one side of the ownership community, whether that's like on the whiskey side, you'll have some educational content for Web3 or vice versa. And we're always looking to grow the community, specifically answering any questions that people have. We understand this space is extremely new. Working with these brands who have done something historically for so long in a different capacity are equally as excited to kind of jump into Web3 to solve these problems that have been a hassle. So we're always open to a new community, hearing from everyone.
Well, gentlemen, I extremely love your passion, what you do, and that's
Thank you.
Super good. And finally, a question for both of you: how do you see how Web3 will change our world, how we live, how we do business, and so on and so forth in upcoming 5 or 10 years? You'll give us your vision, Samuel. Let's start with you.
Yeah. First of all, Max, you're awesome. That was a great answer.
Sam, I learn everything from you, man.
I think that one of the great things about Web3, and we've gotten a lot of this feedback from people in the community and people who are coming from the marketing standpoint, is really that transparency and the ability to interact so much closer with brands and creators that are getting into this space. It really gives a lot more transparency and ownership into that secondary market, and a much deeper connection with some of your most rabid fans, because everything is so transparent. So, my prediction for Web3 is that it's going to continue growing. I think it's still, I know it sounds cliche, but I really do think it's the very, very early stages. I think that soon every brand is going to be in the Web3 space. Every creator is going to be in the Web3 space. Every industry is going to be in the Web3 space. We're not going to be talking about NFTs and Web3 just because it's going to be such a natural part of everyday life. And I think it's very exciting ultimately for consumers and for brands, because I think the connection established between them is going to be great. And a lot of the issues that a lot of people currently are going through may be able to be solved from a consumer standpoint.
Max, would you like to add something to?
Yeah, just kind of going off of authenticity, I think that what NFTs and Web3, just the general sentiment, brings the power back into the owner. I think in the past, all of the brands have kind of learned that being genuine and authentic with your consumer base is always just putting your best foot forward. And this is the first time that, at least like for myself, who does have more of a traditional background, I have the opportunity to receive in real time feedback from our community on all of our projects. Typically good, sometimes a little bit more constructive, but it's always an opportunity for us and other brands. And where I see Web3 growing is kind of putting that power back into the owner to really make the best product and community possible.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for your passion from all us Web3 fans. This has been another episode about alcohol. This has been the episode about the Web3, and Max Album, the Director of Sales and Growth, and Samuel Falic, the co-founder and president of BlockBar, the direct-to-consumer NFT platform for wine and spirits, where my guest today. My name is Eugene Crypto. I'm the media host of Envelop, Envelop, and this has been the Envelop podcast. Please like, subscribe, share, stay tuned, join the Web3 movement, and meet these excellent guys if you're in the US, and just try to use NFT, perhaps to buy a bottle of luxury brand of alcohol via NFT like these guys offer. Thank you very much, guys.
Stay awesome. Tuned. Thanks, Eugene. Real pleasure.
Great meeting you, Eugene. Thank you for your time.